February 2020, Melly was involved in a multi-inmate fight inside the day room of his area unit and was given a DR for his role in the fight. October 2020, placed on a room restriction for refusing to go back to his cell as he was trying to hide while on the phone.
And developing now, there's a new push to get rapper YNW Melly out of jail. He's currently awaiting retrial for two childhood friends, but a new lawsuit alleges he's being held in inhumane conditions.
YNW Melly has now spent 6 years behind bars, with his next trial date pushed all the way to January 2027. During his time locked up, he's been a constant target. Other inmates pressuring him for commissary, clothes, money on their books, and just about anything they can get. But back in 2020, things looked very different. King Von was still alive then, checking in and calling Melly almost every single day.
These look icy, don't they, that love?
YNW Melly seemed unusually relaxed behind bars, living like he was still free. He reportedly ordered custom $$100,000 change straight from a jail phone, working with his jeweler as if nothing had changed. The move was so over the top that even his own brother, YNW B-Slime, called him out for making such a ridiculous purchase.
I would assume
that
he spent a lot of money on lawyers. Like an amount that would probably...
That kid spent a lot of money on a lot of things that shouldn't have been spent on.
Really? Like what else?
And cars, jewelry. And he's not even out to wear the jewelry. I'm like, why are you buying jewelry and you're not here to wear the jewelry?
No, definitely lawyers are probably the best thing you can spend
That's
money
what
on.
bro. But he's good with lawyers, bro. Like, money ain't an issue for lawyers. Like, he's fine, but it's just like, there was a lot of stuff that should have went to lawyers that he didn't spend on lawyers. And I'm like, bro. And now it's like, he don't even want to change no more.
But as time passed, YNW Melly's time in jail took a sharp turn for the worse. In 2022, Chicago rapper Rico Reckless was placed in the same cell block, and tensions quickly escalated. Headlines soon broke. YNW Melly placed in solitary confinement after a jail altercation with rapper Rico Reckless. Both men remained behind bars awaiting trial. Melly would spend several months in isolation, but once released, he was transferred to a new cell block where he met inmate Nicholas Lewis. Lewis already had an escape plan in motion, and the two became close friends, so close that Melly allegedly wanted in on the scheme. According to police records, on April 11th, 2022, the Broward Sheriff's Office received a confidential tip regarding inmates Nicholas Lewis and Jamel Demons, both housed in the same unit at the main jail, planning an escape by having Demons' attorney bring in 2 handcuff keys. Additional information stated that Lewis possessed illegal items. The report sparked outrage from Melly's mother, who was furious that her son was thrown back into solitary confinement and portrayed in the news as plotting a jailbreak, further damaging his image.
Okay, so I'm at work and I just seen this crazy story. First of all, this is just another tactic for them to try to literally just tarnish my son's character and everything. They do not want him having attorney visits in person, which will cause for ineffective counsel. So we went to court for that, and they took his phone calls and they have him locked down. They had no evidence whatsoever that his attorneys did anything wrong to prove these accusations, but they knew it would get picked up by the media. So when we get ready to pick a jury, hopefully within the next 2 weeks, it's gonna be, oh, this kid tried to escape. Oh, this kid tried to do all these things. This is all fake because they do not have a case.
Melly's mother argued that the feds had no solid evidence against him, claiming the escape rumors were just a setup meant to paint him in a negative light before his first trial. In her words, prosecutors were simply trying to sway the judge and jury by making it look like he was desperate to flee. But then everything shifted. In 2023, Florida authorities revealed what they said was their real case against YNW Melly. He was officially hit with new charges of witness tampering, accused of using jail phones to pressure his ex-girlfriend into leaving the United States, allegedly so she couldn't testify against him in court. This development changed everything for Melly, adding another serious layer to his already high-profile case.
State filing 6 new charges against Demons and 2 others who were allegedly involved. The charges include tampering with a witness, directing the activities of a criminal, solicitation or conspiracy to commit tampering, and unlawful use of a 2-way communication device. Now, a couple of those charges actually carry a life in prison sentence if there's a conviction.
The witness tampering charge didn't just add a whole new case on top of Melly's ongoing double murder trial. It also gave the county jail the justification to strip him of nearly all outside contact. His phone privileges were revoked, his mail was cut off, and even his weekly family visits were taken away. From that point forward, Melly was left with no human interaction beyond the inmates inside his block. For his mother, Jamie King, the situation was devastating. She eventually went public in an interview, blasting the county jail for what she described as cruel treatment, claiming her son wasn't even allowed to check his own mail or make a single phone call to his family.
My son has not been convicted of anything, and even other inmates that have been convicted or anything, they have the right to use a telephone. They have a right to be allowed to write letters to their loved ones, to receive their mail. They hold his mail, they don't give it to him.
She went on to explain how helpless she felt, insisting that YNW Melly wasn't even being treated like a human being inside the jail. To her, it was proof that fame meant nothing once those bars closed. You could be a platinum-selling rapper on the outside, but inside, you're treated just like everyone else.
When you saw Melly's statement, just saying how he's been hurt, how he's scared for his life, as a mother, how did that make you feel?
It's heartbreaking. It made me feel completely helpless. Broward Sheriff's Office definitely needs to be investigated. I mean, they are making up their own rules. We've tried to go to court about this situation. The judge really doesn't have any jurisdiction when it comes to the jail, because we actually had a hearing about the mistreatment of him, and the jail they make their own rules. And I don't think that's fair, because I know that they need to answer to someone too.
Her interview quickly caught the media's attention, with even local news outlets reporting that YNW Melly was not being treated fairly inside the county jail. The controversy only grew when Charleston White jumped in with his own reaction, arguing that this was exactly how Melly should be living. In his view, being a rapper didn't mean he deserved special privileges. Jail was jail, and Melly shouldn't expect to be treated any differently than anyone else.
The YNW Melly, I'm so happy he in jail getting mistreated. Yeah, I'm so happy he in jail getting mistreated, homie. Homie, when you take a life, homie, you ain't got a right to complain about a motherfucking thing about being mistreated when you done chose to play somebody.
But on the flip side, rap OG Moosey offered a very different perspective on Melly's situation. Instead of siding with the critics, Moosey focused on the heavy toll the whole ordeal was taking, not just on Melly, but on his mother, Jamie King. He spoke on the stress she's been carrying, watching her son isolated and fighting multiple cases, and pointed out that behind the headlines and controversy, there's still a family being crushed by the weight of it all.
Okay, so
then I met his mama while he was in.
Oh, okay.
I met his mom while he was in, and she real, bro. You know, she real.
She's stressed out. I heard she had a.
Yeah, she real, and I reached my hand out to him, cause I'm real. Yeah, I reached out to him, bro. I met his mom, and she a good woman, bro. And when I see them mamas like that, it remind me of what my mom was going through, bro.
Every rapper's opinion shifted after a shocking twist. Police arrested Melly's ex-girlfriend, Mariah, the very same woman who had been living outside the United States for years. Missing her family, she finally decided to return home, but the moment she landed, authorities were waiting. She was immediately taken into custody at the airport, confirming the seriousness of the witness tampering allegations tied back to YNW Melly.
Mariah Hamilton is spending her first day at the Broward County Jail. She has no arrest record until now. U.S. Border Patrol agents arrested her at Miami International Airport Monday after she arrived on an international flight. Court records show Hamilton was ordered to testify in Demon's first trial in 2023.
The judge then struck a deal with Mariah. If she agreed to testify against YNW Melly, she could go home until trial. She accepted without hesitation, delivering the worst possible outcome for Melly. Soon after, investigators uncovered disturbing evidence from Mariah's iCloud account, including proof that Melly pressured her not to testify during his last trial. This was clear-cut witness tampering, and if Mariah confirms it under oath, it all but guarantees a life sentence for Melly, regardless of whether he's ultimately found guilty in the deaths of Sack Chaser and Juvie. Even YNW Juvie's own father publicly stated in an interview that he believes Melly tampered with witnesses, further damaging his defense.
are now charged with witness tampering. There was this kind of crazy way that Melly was communicating. He wasn't allowed to use the phone, but he was passing notes to people, and then this person's calling this person and then that person.
Saying like to me, they going through extreme measures, trying to cover up or convince people not to testify, like Mariah mom. They was using code words like Rihanna and A$AP Rocky's baby mom.
With all of that stacked against him, it's clear why YNW Melly has been stripped of nearly all privileges. No phone calls, no mail access, and no weekly visits with family. But things have only gotten worse. Fast forward to 2025, and the situation hit another low point. It was announced that Melly's long-awaited double retrial has been postponed yet again. During a Friday hearing, the 4th District Court of Appeals granted a stay in the case to review a motion filed by the state attorney's office. That ruling officially pushed the trial, originally set for September, back to January 2027. This means Melly is guaranteed to remain behind bars for at least 2 more years. And while the trial is delayed, prosecutors are using that extra time to turn up the pressure on co-defendant YNW Bortland. Reports surfaced that a no communication order has been filed, cutting off all contact between Melly and Bortland. Not even their lawyers can relay messages. The strategy is clear. Isolate Bortland and push him to flip, forcing him to testify against Melly when they're tried together in the next round.
Here, and you can try them together. It is to the benefit of the state to try them together. It just more efficient. You don't have to do things again and again. Do it all at once, and also you get a better chance of having them incriminate each other during the trial. It benefits the defense to sever it. That way they can point the finger at each other and get away with it. So this is what's going on. But I don't think it should be automatically severed because the state is seeking the penalty for Melly, because it's only the penalty phase of the trial that would be different, not the guilt phase. The guilt phase is the same. They're both capital crimes. You're seeking the penalty on one, not the other, but that goes into the second part of the trial, the penalty phase, only if Melly is found guilty.
If YNW Bortland decides to cooperate, it could be the final blow for Melly. His testimony would have the power to confirm all the evidence prosecutors have been building, making a guilty verdict in the next trial far more likely. The judge has already ruled that Melly will be tried alongside Bortland whenever the retrial finally begins, meaning Melly's fate may ultimately rest in the hands of the very person who once stood beside him.
Mr. Henry is going to remain separate trial September the 10th at 9 o'clock with Mr. Demmons, pending whatever future motion that I may hear. I'm in another capital case right now. I have 4 hearing dates left available between now and September the 10th. I gave the parties those 4 dates, and I'm holding all of those dates and times open only for these 2 defendants. So anything that you need me for, okay?
If Bortland truly believes he didn't commit this crime, there's no way he'll just sit back and accept a life sentence. That makes it highly likely he'll eventually point the finger at Melly, just like Melly's defense team did to him during the first trial. What many people don't realize is that the two haven't spoken since then. On the very first day of court, Melly's lawyers shocked everyone by standing up and shifting the blame onto YNW Bortland, setting the stage for the deep divide between them that still exists today.
Those were his lies. Cortland Henry shows up at Memorial Hospital, Miramar. You don't see him sitting there, but where you will see him sitting is in the driver's seat of a car with 2 bodies, car riddled with bullets. And when he shows up with a change of clothing, change of shirt, powder residue on his hands, evidencing that he had discharged a firearm. And he lies. He lies about where the incident occurred. He lies about how it occurred. And he lies about not having a phone. I think it was Miss Bradley herself who said, everybody has a phone in his pocket, not Cortland Henry.
Melly's own legal team went all in on pointing the blame at Bortland. In court, they argued that it was Bortland who had lied to federal investigators, not Melly. They highlighted that Bortland had gunpowder residue on his hands and was the last person seen with juvie and sack chaser before their deaths. To strengthen their case, the defense even brought in a forensic scientist who reviewed the evidence and testified in detail about the residue, further suggesting that Bortland, not Melly, was directly tied to the shootings.
So the right hand of Cortland Henry contained 0 particles characteristic of heart residue and 2 2 component particles, and the left hand contained 1 particle characteristic of tar residue and 1 2-component particle.
Okay. And can you explain to us what that means?
Basically, overall, there was tar residue present on the hands.
YNW Bortland made it clear he wasn't standing for the way Melly's defense tried to pin everything on him. That's why, on the very same day Melly's mistrial was declared, headlines broke about a cryptic tweet from Bortland. He posted, "Mind games don't work on people like me," followed by a handshake emoji, almost as if he were signaling that he was ready to make a deal. What makes this even more alarming for Melly is that prosecutors now have fresh leverage. Investigators reportedly uncovered new evidence inside Bortland's home, giving him every reason to cooperate with the state and testify against Melly in exchange for leniency.
Melly's co-defendant YNW Bortland was booked into a Miami jail Monday night and is being held behind bars on an out-of-county warrant. We just confirmed the warrant is out of Broward County for witness tampering. The warrant obtained by Law and Crime Network states as follows. On or about April 10, 2023, continuing through and including July 22, 2023, Cortland Henry, aka Bortland, along with others, did unlawfully and knowingly engage in misleading conduct toward another person with the intent to cause or induce them to withhold testimony. The warrant continues the alleged witness had been summoned by the legal process to the jury trial of Jamel Dimmons, aka YNW Melly. The dates in the warrant are important. Jury selection for Melly started in mid-April, and a judge declared a mistrial on July 22nd, the same day the warrant claims Bortland allegedly tampered with the witness.
According to reporter Bryson Paul, shocking evidence was filed into the Broward clerk's office following a raid on YNW Bortland's home. Images allegedly show handwritten notes where Bortland had sketched out the seating arrangement of certain jurors, complete with physical descriptions of what they looked like. This traces back to jury selection day before the original trial, when potential jurors introduced themselves. While Melly's trial was being discussed, Bortland was in the courtroom speaking with the judge about his own case. From there, he apparently kept a mental record of the jurors sitting on the right side of the room, then went home and drew them all out on paper. The disturbing implication? It looked as if Bortland was preparing to take action against those jurors if they ended up convicting his best friend, YNW Melly.
To keep it real, this is sloppy. Bortland, how the f you gonna have the notebook of the jurors in your house? Holy sh! Like, come the f on. It's like doing a and having the surveillance tape in your DVD player or something like that. You know what I mean? Like, come on, bro. Like they raid your crib and the surveillance footage of the is in your DVD player. They be like, oh, okay, thank you, brother.
But
this
once Melly's lawyers started shifting all the blame onto Bortland, he apparently decided the jury sketches weren't worth holding on to anymore and tossed the paper into an empty suitcase. Still, the damage was done, and things are now looking even worse for Melly. Here's why. Bortland is in a position to validate every piece of new evidence prosecutors want to bring into the next trial. That could be devastating, because one of the items they're preparing to use is a Facebook post of YNW Melly with Young Thug. Prosecutors plan to argue this shows Melly's alleged affiliation with the Red Street team, tying him to the same network that Young Thug is accused of being part of. If Bortland confirms these connections in court, it could heavily sway a jury against Melly, and those validations might follow him all the way through sentencing.
Same thing, the use of the slap term, 5-point star, snake. He's saying he's YSL, he's hanging with him. And he puts up his YNW for life hashtag on it with Mr. Demons has the big B hand signs displayed.
Okay, and these individuals again, I'm assuming that's also Young Thug. That's also unknown.
Yes.
Also important to your investigation, correct?
Yes.
Also publicly available for anyone to see and capture.
In fact, Melly himself has already shown frustration with how this evidence is being handled. During a recent hearing, he was seen arguing with his own defense team, telling them to just let the prosecutors use the evidence, because, in his mind, Bortland will validate it anyway. The news even reported, asterisk, today's hearing marks the first time Melly publicly went against his legal team's advisement in court. Asterisk witnesses described Melly yelling at his lawyers, demanding they stop dragging it out and allow the evidence in, instead of turning it into a constant back and forth. Ironically, That dispute caused exactly what Melly was trying to avoid, another delay in the trial.
Yes, sir. Against our advice, our client wants to proceed.
You object to their request. We need to determine this automatic stay.
Based upon what our client has instructed us.
People who were inside the courtroom that day claimed they overheard Melly shouting in frustration. According to them, he said, asterisk, I don't care. I'm not in no gang. They can't prove that. Asterisk's outburst made it clear he was fed up with the constant arguments over evidence and determined to distance himself from any alleged gang ties.
Where 924-071. Call for an automatic stay while
they were aggravators. They go to membership in a gang. There are things that the jury would have to find before going into penalty.
Not aggravator, that's the death penalty. Aggravator, that's the enhancement itself, Your Honor. That was charged. He was charged in committing the murder for the further, which is an aggravator in terms of the guilt.
Something that they would have to find by way of an interrogatory.
Yes.
But prosecutors aren't stopping with just a Facebook post. They also want to introduce testimony from a former O-Block member, someone who was once close to King Vaughn. This witness claims to know a secret Melly allegedly confided in Vaughn before Vaughn's death and before Melly's arrest. According to the account, Melly and Vaughn were very good friends, and during one of their conversations, Melly supposedly asked Vaughn for advice on how to handle people in a certain way. Prosecutors now want to use that statement as evidence to suggest Melly was seeking guidance on violent strategies, adding yet another layer of weight against him in the retrial.
Did Vaughn really tell you that Melly told him that he was two friends?
He ain't come out and say, like, we got into an argument. And so, you know, if you know, when people could say something without saying it. And so he told me, like, once I posted what I posted, Vaughn was mad at me. Bro, why you put up there, bro? Walk the bam. I'm like, you sitting up here, like, you know the love we got. You do this for us, but you gonna trust that his two friends? And he said, them was trying to extort him. And so I'm like, if they was trying to extort him, then why are you still around?
With Bortland cooperating, prosecutors would also be able to clear up one of the biggest lingering questions. What really happened in the hours immediately after the crime? They already have a key piece of evidence. A Facebook Live video showing Melly dancing in a parking lot alongside YNW Bortland, acting as if nothing had just taken place. If Bortland testifies, he can provide the missing context behind that footage, which prosecutors will argue shows a shocking lack of remorse and potentially an attempt to mask what had just occurred.
Melly still turned regardless of what happened this early morning. He's still out here being very positive. Turned still. Hey! The dog still turned, regardless of what happened. You already know.
So now the big question falls on you. Do you think YNW Melly truly deserves the life he's living in jail right now, cut off from all family contact? Or should he at least be allowed the basic privilege of speaking to his loved ones on the phone? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to leave a like if you're a fan of Melly's and want to see how this all plays out.